saw a lot of guys making mistakes like that. So I decided I would just really go at it. And there were a couple of pages that were fairly popular on Instagram at the time, and they just started messaging me like, you should go public, you should go public, you should go public. And I was like, I'm still active duty. Like, I'm not sure how this works, if I should go public. And we were actually doing visit board search and seizure training. And so
What's that?
So that is part of the realm of maritime interdiction. And so you have a target vessel at sea that, for whatever reason, they need to be boarded, and training the reconnaissance Marines, the maritime raid force for the Marine Expedition units. That was part of their mission central task list, was conduct visit board search and seizure, or VBSS.
Okay.
So I'm out there as an instructor, and I'm on the target vessel, and we're kind of in between runs, and these two pages just kept hitting me back and forth about it. And I was like, what happens if I just hit public? So I just pushed a little button over to public, put the phone back in my pocket, and it just started vibrating. Like, I thought it was going to come out of my pocket. And I went from 200 some odd followers to like 800 something by the end of the day. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's what happens when you put your page to public. Like, lots of people just start coming in. And then those couple of guys, they pulled me into this group chat, and they just started, talking back and forth about things. And they were talking about like gun belts.
Okay.
And
that was the topic of the day.
How they were just kind of talking, like somebody brought it up and they were just kind of talking about it. And I was like, well, this is how I set mine up and this and that. And they're like, well, you should do a post on it. And so I did. And that was actually the first post that I titled Kit Considerations.
Yep.
Because that was the term that we used for a class when we would teach the recondos when they'd show up, like, hey, Kit Considerations class. Just covering the basics of like, hey, this is what we require you to have, and this is how we suggest you set it up.
Again, this isn't an absolute.
Right, because everyone's different, and, you got guys who are explosive breachers, shotgun breachers, guys carrying tools.
Loadouts are different.
Guys carrying different weapons, and they have different jobs. So, like, you can't say everyone sets up the same way. And also, that's not a leadership, right? To make everyone the same, that's simple. That doesn't actually require you to exercise any leadership. But if you give them left and right lateral limits, like, this is the SOP of what you need to be able to carry, and I'm just going to inspect you once you set it up to make sure it makes sense. And then if I don't think it makes sense, we'll talk about it. And if you can essentially defend your point, then go with it.
I love that. That's coaching. That's what that is.
Yeah.
And that's a huge topic on the show. Like, a big theme on the show is in talking with the coaches that understand that. And the absolute piece is, I think, where things get really weird on the internet, right? People have been taught one thing. And so going back to the new guys, the young guys, I imagine in some of these instances, they have so many months to go through this training and get this information. And on one day for, I don't know, an hour maybe, they talked about how to set up your gun belt. Right. And it wasn't, you weren't being coached on how to do it. You were being instructed. Like, this is where this goes. This is how this goes. And if you don't know any better, you just do what you're told, because that's the name of the game anyway.
Yeah.
And then you move on. And now you're on to the next hour where they're teaching you how to do the next thing. And it's like you're drinking from a fire hose. Maybe you've never done this before. You have zero clue. And you're just like, all right, well, I got the gun belt set up now. So now we're talking about, I don't know, packs, kits, whatever happens to be. And so you're just piling on. Next thing you know, you're down the line and you're not set up properly or efficiently or whatever else. But that doesn't matter, because we're on to the next thing and on to the next thing.